Welcome back to the Monday Night Wars. Or war, sorry, but we say wars because there's two shows this week. As we told you on the update last week, there was no Raw. So we only have two Nitros back-to-back before we get a pay-per-view that is Ground Zero that we're still looking for on the network because the network are a bunch of assholes. I'm Cav Manning along with Billy Body.
Hello.
So, Clash,
you know what?
go ahead.
I may be doing that show next week.
Mm-hmm.
From when that show airs, I will be at Ground Zero.
Yeah, that would be very interesting. You should pull up a chair over there and we'll do the show actually live from Ground Zero.
Yeah, well, I have to record it on the 11th of September. When was Ground Zero's actual date?
Boy, when was the actual date? It was, I believe, 9/7.
9/7.
9/7.
So 7/9. So
7/11.
7/9. 7/11. Yeah.
Yeah. So the day before this show, the Clash of Champions happened, and it was like, it was a good show if anyone watched it, and like a lot of titles on the line and changing hands and shit like that, which is very interesting because it's like they had less of a viewership than Nitro because now it became the backseat type of show. If you listen to the Bischoff show as the Monday Night War show companion, they seem to go over the stuff that we go over at the same exact time.
It's weird because like we've been able to get through these shows without watching any clashes, and I felt obliged to not review it on here as such, but to go back and watch parts of it because, I mean, Mongo's winning a belt and Alex Wright's winning a belt, and you know they're getting Sting's answer and all that, and it's like I'm like halfway through Nitro, and they're talking about this kind of like this pay-per-view that we're supposed to have like watched, which was weird because the other clashes weren't like that.
You know, it's very interesting to me, and I kind of like recording this after I hear the Bischoff show, because you do get insights about shit that I wouldn't have a clue about, because they show the vulture that came down from Sting above the arena, right? And it lands on the ring ropes, and apparently it was supposed to have a fucking note that the NWO got, and it was because they keep asking what does Sting want? Remember that was the whole thing, and he needed to answer at the Clash, and he goes on Nitro and like points at signs, right? But on the Clash, apparently, the vulture swoops down and it has a note attached to it that reads Hogan's soul. But during the flight down, the fucking note falls out.
I saw Hall give Eric Bischoff a piece of paper, so I think the contingency plan for that was for Hall to have a piece of paper in his pocket, but I think they just blew it off on the spot.
They seem to say that they just kind of winged it, and like Bischoff turned his back to the camera kind of to pretend he was reading something, but they were like, oh, if we just played it off like we were scared of, you know, what the fuck, he just sent us a fucking death message of the vulture, that would have been fine too, because that's how I took it. I go, okay, he's just sending, you know, they're going to pick the dead bones, that's all. But when they overthink it, I think it fucks them up. But I thought that was interesting that the fucking paper fell out. I'm like, oh, of course, it's WCW.
What was weird was the recap of it. Was that like weird, like childlike?
The young boy, the young boy reading about Sting.
But then they put this like weird silence over the time when they're like
with the bird,
with the vulture.
Yeah,
instead of the actual crowd noise. It was just, I don't know what they were trying to do. I think like for a company that haven't been that great in production, I think they felt like, all right, we're gonna really like go for it here. And it sort of like landed somewhere in the middle. I mean, it's better than doing nothing, but it wasn't WWE.
I think their production is what hurts them most in this whole entire, you know, era, because obviously we've always said WWE's production is so fucking good, and like their video packages, all that shit.
WWE would have had that like vulture like fucking skywrite there in the message on its way down, and then when it landed, the fucking turnbuckles would have set on fire.
That is true. Let's get into the first clip, and it's Mean Gene in the ring with Bischoff, and J.J. Dillon on the phone, and Sting shows up. And this is how pretty much they start off Nitro after the boy reading the fucking poem. And then we go into a Raven promo.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back. You can hear from the ovation of this great crowd in Columbia reaction to what we have just seen from last week at the Clash of the Champions. Now, the chairman of the WCW Executive Committee, Mr. J.J. Dillon, has come out and literally on a silver platter offered Sting the world. He has offered him Kurt Hennig at one time. Recently, he offered him one of the pride and joy rank and file of the NWO 6. He went so far as to call for an ultimatum 1 week ago tonight on this television program that he had to hear from Sting. He wanted Sting to tell him what his intentions were, exactly what he wanted at the Clash of the Champions last Thursday, August the 21st. Well, Sting spoke volumes. He said it loud. He said it clear. We know what he wants. Whether or not that is going to happen, ladies and gentlemen, there are tremendous reservations on the part of all of us at WCW. And as I keep that in mind, let me bring the figurehead for the New World Order out tonight in front of this capacity crowd. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to Nitro, Eric Bischoff.
Figurehead, the Vulture's got a better looking head than Bischoff.
Well, be that as it may, this is one interview, and I never really look forward to seeing Bischoff come out here, but this is one interview that I definitely am looking forward to. You know, Mike, today I want to know exactly the response of the NWO after what we have seen from the Clash of the Champions.
Well, Tony, do you think that we're actually going to get the truth from Mr. Sincerity?
No, I don't.
It's another foul bet.
To say they hate him in Columbia would be an understatement here.
Well, Bischoff, I assume you are happy tonight. We see teeth from ear to ear, and that obviously ties in with what Sting did or perhaps didn't say last Thursday night in Nashville.
Shut up.
Okay, I'll be more than happy. You're Mike.
You know, J.J. Dillon should have learned from me that sometimes you don't want to give ultimatums because they can come back and bite you. And by the way, JJ, wherever you are, bite me, will you? It's just too bad, Mean Gene, that WCW ship is going to have to sail without the Stinger. What are we gonna do now that the Birdman is gonna have to fly the coop?
Well, you know, Eric Bischoff, for your information, don't shed tears prematurely, because I have been standing by on the line right now live from WCW World Headquarters in Atlanta, Georgia. J.J. Dillon, are you there?
Yes, Gene, I hear you loud and clear.
J.J., come on in if you would, please. I'm certain you're watching this on television as you're hard at work tonight in the office.
Yes, Gene. But before Eric Bischoff starts prematurely celebrating the demise of WCW without Sting, you may want to remind him that he may be jumping to conclusions. Now, true, there was a deadline at the Clash, but we just saw on our screen, and I'm watching too, what happened in Nashville. And the day following the Clash, the viewers lit up the switchboard at WCW, and their unanimous opinion was that Sting had spoken, and Gene, we heard him loud and clear. If I only accomplish one thing in my tenure as champion or as chairman, I pledge to deliver to Sting the match that I now know that he wants. I am committed to somehow signing a match between Sting and Hollywood Hulk Hogan.
Okay, did you hear that? J.J. Dillon has promised between now and the end of the year he will put that match together.
No way! It is not going to happen! It will never happen! You can tell J.J. Dillon Ted Turner, anybody else you need to tell. That match will never happen. And let me tell you why it'll never happen. It'll never happen because I say so. Hollywood Hogan has title defenses scheduled all over the world. Hollywood Hogan has got movies to make. He's got appearances to make.
Flimsy excuses.
Without a doubt, the most important man in this industry today. J.J. Dillon, you fat tub of goo, I'm telling you, forget about it. And I'll tell you another thing. I'll tell every one of you something. If Hogan wanted Sting, if he wanted him, he would take him like that. That's right, like that. Hogan is a bigger man, a better man. He's put Roddy Piper out of wrestling. He's beaten Luger. He's beaten the Giant. He would take care of Sting, and you know it. You know it to be true. Every one of you know it to be true. It will not happen.
It won't happen.
Not happen.
Okay. Maybe
You tell him.
I'll tell him when I see him. That's it. Whenever I
Never
see him,
happened.
I'll pass the word along. I'll be more than happy to.
Oh, my.
Look at that chicken.
What's he proposing? Oh, he looks much better now.
That speaks loud and clear.
Guess he won't be able to bite anybody.
Look at this. Sting smiling.
First time I see him smiling over a year.
Over a year. A smile across the face of Sting. Every member of the NWO, beginning at the top, needs to look at this closely. And we'll be back on Nitro.
We all commit certain acts in our lives of an unsavory nature. Some bad, some worse, some unspeakable. Sometimes we suffer in silence. Sometimes we seek redemption. He's got what he wanted. But in attaining salvation, there's a price that must be paid. One must give up a bit of oneself. The road, or the end of the road as it is, may not be not quite what you expect. The glowing light at the end of the tunnel may not be the beacon of righteousness that you envisioned. It may be some horribly disfigured funhouse reflection of your own inner dreams. Quote the Raven, nevermore.
All right, so there you go with Raven with his nonsense. And we go into, of course, it's funny because Bischoff always talks his shit. And then, Sting shows up, and that's how that always goes.
Do you give him any credit at all?
Who's that? Raven?
As in being sort of this cross between the next evolution of what Jake Roberts was doing, and then obviously after that we had Bray Wyatt. Do you put him in that category as one of those? Or
no, not as that.
No.
I didn't mind
ECW
his stuff.
Raven, maybe.
Yeah, ECW Raven was better. But it was a lot of I guess they say how Bray always just rambled and had nothing to say. I think that's very much Raven. It's, he talks a lot, but nothing that has to do with anything.
But that's how Bray Wyatt became as well, because the thing is that the Bray Wyatt character suffered in WWE at the start, when it couldn't do, it couldn't they booked it wrong because he was losing, but then he couldn't really make any kind of serious sacrifices because of the PG thing. Like, you couldn't like do anything with people's children and all that stuff. And the Raven character, he was very like biblical in ECW, whereas here they couldn't like offend any of the Southern Christians that probably watch this shit.
They couldn't crucify like they did in ECW?
No, and without all of that, it doesn't really work, does it?
No, you have to get, I mean, even to skip ahead and bring up the War Games thing where everyone has to give up and everyone's handcuffed to the cage and like they're going to kill Flair unless they give up, and they put the microphone to their mouth and they're like, say you give up. This should have been the one time that they were given permission to say fuck you. Because that would be the raw, true emotion. You'd say, go fuck yourself. It would, instead of no and bite me, it'd be fuck you. So, it's kind of like where it's good with WWE where they said, hey, Corey, say holy shit, because that, it matters now. You don't do it just for fun. You do it when it matters, and then that should be the thing. But I'm getting ahead of myself. So, first match, you'd have La Parka and Psychosis versus Glacier and the Cat. The Ultimate Dragon shows up, and the Silver King shows up here during this, and there's a chair shot first, though. This is what's odd. There's a chair shot, so La Parka and Psychosis actually win this fucking match. And then it was like, hurry up and get out of the ring, because the next match is Silver King and Dragon, and they started getting in the ring already.
Yeah, I mean, this kind of stuff is this is the beginning of it becoming a bit redundant, like, because we've seen all the moves and stuff, and now once you get all of that, they need a story. I mean, even 205 Live was good when it had the tournament, and the thing is that all this like lightweight stuff, it does need story. Like, it can't just be non-English speaking people like jumping around now. I kind of have lost a bit of interest in it. I kind of play on my phone and I know we're not going to get any clips out of it too. So I mean, no one's gonna say anything amazing.
So it's Silver King versus Dragon. Ultimate Dragon wins this, and then our next clip is Hall and Macho Man. They're talking about DDP joining the NWO.
Much. Everybody knows by now that you can't have a party unless you invite the NWO. Now, me and Macho and Liz, we were talking in the back, and we know that we're the reason that everybody's here tonight, and we're the reason everybody's watching at home. Everybody wants to be a part of the NWO. Let us take this opportunity. We want to welcome our newest member. He helped us out at the Clash of the Champions. We want to welcome him now.
What are they talking about?
The newest member of the New World Order, Diamond.
Oh, wait a minute.
Dallas Page.
Is he kidding?
This cannot be. We saw Page inadvertently.
Little camera shy, probably.
Inadvertently give Luger that diamond cutter.
Strictly by accident.
Brother. You know, I gotta be honest, Scotty. I voted no for DDP. But the NWO didn't have a weak link. So it's cool that he's in. And Lex Luger, the total package, you gotta understand, he went to the very top. But starting at Sturgis, and the Clash of Champions. He's been in a slump. Just for that, the total package, Lex Luger. I'm calling you out tonight. Your slump's gonna continue, and I'm gonna punk you out. You understand that? You're gonna feel the big elbow, brother. Yeah, you are.
Lex Luger and the Macho Man later on tonight.
You ain't got a friend in WCW, and you ain't got a friend in Columbia, South Carolina.
Well, is DDP a member of the NWO? I don't think so. But what was that all about? Maybe the answers and much more great action when we return live on Nitro.
So they do the whole, it was on purpose that DDP, did shit to Lex, and now he's joining us, which is funny on the side note because Macho says, I voted against it, but we didn't have a weak link, so I figured we needed one. I thought that was pretty fucking good. And here is DDP's retort.
And the members of the New World Order, but I want to hear it from you. Was that diamond cutter on Lex Luger last Thursday at the Clash of Champions inadvertent, or was it perhaps intentional? Were you trying to make a statement?
You're ridiculous even to ask that question.
Wait a minute, I'm paid to ask questions like that. I can't read your mind. I'm not a psychic. I'm not the only one that's asking the question, by the way.
That I would join the NWO with Savage and Hall is ludicrous. And that I hit Lex Luger with a diamond cutter on purpose is equally ludicrous.
Were you coherent in the ring? I know you took a shot from the Macho Man, Randy Savage. Were you blinded by it all and did mistaken identity? Did you grab the wrong man?
Duh. Sometimes, Gino, you amaze me. All these people here know what I've been through to get where I am. And that's why Lex Luger opted to be my partner.
Duh, I don't think Lex Luger trusts you right now after what you did.
I tried to get a hold of Lex later that night. He'd left. He was on the road. This is the first weekend I've been home. The bottom line is I couldn't get a hold of him. He wasn't in the building 10 minutes ago. If he's in the building right now, he can come out here because I'm a stand-up guy, and if he's here, he'll be here because he's a stand-up guy.
Well, he's here. He's going to be here at least because he's going to be facing the Macho Man later on here on Monday Nitro. Lex Luger, if you're within the sound of my voice, I'm certain you just heard the request from Diamond Dallas Page.
It's obvious he still isn't in the building because Lex Luger, the total package, is a stand-up guy. And we would resolve this man to man because that's who we are, two men. Not two lowlifes like Savage and Hall. And when I get with Lex, we'll straighten it out.
I'm glad you had a weekend off. I haven't been home in 25 years, and this guy got a weekend off. Tony, let's get back to you.
So I enjoy that he's always like everybody always thinks everyone's in the NWO, of course, and they're like, "Are you in or not?" And he's like, "You're a fucking retard to think I joined."
Yeah, that was the reason I put this in, because honestly, later on in the show, I'm tempted to put this clip in where Gene is just falling over himself with the Nitro girls, and they're plugging their parties in these PO box addresses, and I just felt it was so funny, but I didn't put it in. And also if you can't see Kimberly Page, it's not even worth really listening to
I am obsessed with watching her in the back because they stuff her in the back of the Nitro girls because she's terrible, and I'm watching to see her fuck up.
You know what? I just can't understand how now for me it's about Kimberly versus Sunny, and it's not about Sable at all. Whereas back then it was Sable versus Sunny, and I was just kind of at that age, you're supposed to be like, oh yeah, like the bigger tits is better or whatever. But it's like, no, I was still like young enough.
The perfect tits.
I still had the right eye for the right one, I think. And now for me, it's not even close. But
Kimberly got a bush.
Yeah, but I mean,
it's not for me. I don't know. I still say Sonny's, as they say, roll tide at this point.
But she still has that that look, like that. She's more like
she's dirty girl next door.
She's more rounded off than Sunny. Like she's more perfect than Sunny. Like she has the
she's more modelly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm talking Sunny's more of a dirty girl next door. Okay, after that we get Jeff Jarrett versus Chris Benoit, and Jeff Jarrett wins this match. Wrath and Mortis versus the Faces of Fear. How about the push on Faces of Fear at this point too?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's mainly, but I think Manga's always been kept up there. The weird thing is that he was developing a reputation, and they decided that
use it.
You know, if he's legit the toughest, legit the toughest in the locker room, we can't have him being like a job guy. It's like I always think Bischoff's a weird kind of guy because he respects being around these tougher guys. I heard that's what I read up on how. He wanted to do something with Ernest Miller and because of his background, and he wanted to do something with Ming because the stories that he heard about him, and he kind of gets into like the real life stuff.
Yeah.
And Vince is not too far off either because Vince McMahon is a bit like that as well in terms of there was a story where he heard that Booker T beat up Batista in a commercial. And he really cooled off on Batista.
Yeah, they used to all have that old day stuff too, where it was if you got beat up at a bar, you lost your job. One of those fucking deals. Cowboy Bill Watts.
That's it. With Bill Watts, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, now let's get to the big event in this show. There's two giant events in both of these shows, and this is the first one. This is the world-famous My Spot promo. Not Dog Spot or Liver Spot, but My Spot by Arn Anderson, giving his spot to Curt Hennig.
For Horsemen. Ladies and gentlemen, Chris Benoit, Steve Mongo McMichael. Welcome back, the Enforcer, Arn Anderson, and the WCW 15-time former heavyweight champion, the Nature Boy, Ric Flair.
You look and you listen to this thunderous ovation. Well-deserved, in honor of the first man who's getting in the ring, and of course the U.S. champ and Benoit. Regardless of what the NWO will say, Columbia, South Carolina is Horseman territory.
Tony, I certainly agree with that. As a matter of fact, it is the consensus. This is Horseman territory. And Ric Flair, it's grassroots. I love it.
Let's cut to it. Let's get Curt Hennig out here right now. Either he's a horseman or he's not. Come on, Curt.
All right, Curt Hennig. You got to face the music tonight. I don't think you guys can wait any longer. You got to go on with your lives.
We got to have an answer tonight. We're in horseman country, and we got to have an answer tonight.
This thing has got to come to closure. Week after week, the Horsemen have invited this man into the most prestigious group in all of professional wrestling, the Four Horsemen. Why don't you go ahead and H, do it one more time.
Curt, we've waited for 2 months, and tonight, right here on Nitro, man, we want an answer, please. Rick, I would love to give you and the other horsemen an answer, but I'm not ready to give you that answer tonight.
This is unbelievable.
Kurt, you're a special kind of athlete, a special kind of man, and that gets special consideration. So anticipating your answer, I invited someone down here tonight that wants to have a word with you. My best friend, the Enforcer's in town.
Oh, boy.
Oh, yeah.
He's back.
Oh, man. You want to talk about a man who is a household word here in Columbia, South Carolina? It has got to be the man who is coming to the ring right now. One of the all-time legends of this great sport, the Enforcer, Arn Anderson.
Good. Got it. A standing ovation. Look at that.
It's a pleasure to hold the microphone, Mr. Anderson, up for you on this occasion.
Well, Gene, all I can tell you, to get a response like this means what I got to say tonight mean that much more. You see, I'm a realist, and everybody knows I've got average size and speed and average ability, but I've parlayed that into what I would call a very successful career. And I did that on sheer will alone. But another reality is, 4 months ago, they took 4 vertebrae out of my neck. Consequently, I'm left with a hand, my left hand, too weak to hold a glass, too weak to button a button. But I thought in my mind, I knew in my mind I could overcome that too, through sheer will. And I was doing just like that. I think I've come back a long way. But the other day I had something happen in the gym that was like a cold slap in the face of reality. A guy about your size, Gene, came up and he slapped me on the back and he said, "Double A, where you been? We hadn't seen you on TV." And just that slap sent a jolt through me, and I dropped the water I was drinking, and just for a second, my system shut down, and it became crystal clear as I watched the few little drops of water draining out of that bottle, the symbolism that was involved. It was like someone had turned an hourglass over, and the sand was running out on the career of Arn Anderson. Now, the fact of the matter is, not only do I put myself in a suicide situation by trying to wrestle again, I endanger these two men's careers, and I respect them too much for that. And other than be anything than the Enforcer in my best friend's eyes, I'd rather walk away. And for all you people out there that have ever bought a ticket to see Arn Anderson wrestle, whether you love me or you hated me, you knew that when that bell rang, you got all I had that night. Whether I won, whether I lost, I gave you everything I had. And you knew that. And when you did this to me, that was your acknowledgement. Well, the fact is, I got nothing left to give. And I want you to remember me as I was, not as I am. But being the man that I am, my last act, formerly as a horseman, I got one last challenge. And that's to you, Curt Hennig. Now, don't misunderstand me. It's not for a fight. You got something special. I've seen you in this ring. Your skills, your maturity, your commitment to excellence makes you something special. And what my challenge is to you, Curt, is stand beside my best friend, Ric Flair, and lead these two men back to the glory and the prominence that the Four Horsemen once had. And I'm going to tell you what your prize is. It's not a spot with the Horsemen, because this is worth a lot more than that to me. I'm going to give you the only thing I got left. Not a spot, not a spot. I'll give you my spot.
Wow.
Curt Hennig.
You know, I know every wrestler that's ever been around or involved in this business we call wrestling
who would pass up the honor to not only be a horseman, but to come out and take Arn Anderson's spot as the enforcer of the Four Horsemen, I have only one thing to say. It would be a privilege.
Hey, what about that? I think we've made book finally. Tony, Bobby, history in the making. New member of the Four Horsemen officially tonight, Kurt Hennig, joining Steve Mongo, McMichael, Chris Benoit, and the Nature Boy, Ric Flair. What a glorious day it is here in Columbia.
You have seen one of the most emotional moments in the history of this great television program, in the history of this great sport. Just look at the face of Ric Flair. Not only did Kurt Hennig say yes, he has taken Arn Anderson's spot, a man who has lived and breathed. I have known Arn Anderson for 13 years. And for him to give his spot to Kurt Hennig is unheard of.
That tells you an awful lot about Kurt Hennig.
Now, did you know you were watching history as this was happening, or it just? I think it made more history once the NWO fucked with it.
Yeah, I mean, I knew it was interesting watching this now because I see the first part that much. The impersonation is bigger, but seeing the first part was interesting. You know what? I was almost tempted to message you this week and say, when we formatize the show this week, let's just rush through the show and leave the two big clips at the end. So we put them together. So people say at the end we got Arn's speech, and straight after that we got the NWO speech. So you can hear them back to back. Because I think it's pretty funny when you do.
Yeah, I mean,
there's actually an edit on YouTube that I've seen where Arn does a line.
Oh, really?
And the NWO copy it, and Arn does a line. I think it's actually the build up to Fall Brawl.
It is.
So they give you that anyway. So
yeah, we'll get there soon because there's only 2 more clips before the NWO one. You get after this, you have Eddie Guerrero versus Mongo for the U.S. title. Mongo has the U.S. title after beating Jeff Jarrett at Clash of Champions. Mongo wins this one.
You know what? Fair play to Mongo, for pulling this finish off because he's got a lot better in the ring. And this was a real test. Because the finish of this match is Eddie Guerrero comes off the top rope for a moonsault, and Mongo has to catch him and tombstone him. And you know who stole the finish to this, Matt? Do you know who stole this finish?
Who?
Shawn Michaels and the Undertaker at WrestleMania 25. Now I actually stopped. This is the finish of WrestleMania 25, stolen off Mongo and Eddie from night. I mean, I don't know if they thought. I don't know if it was a unique thought where they obviously may have came up with that themselves as well.
Mm-hmm.
But this is the original version of it.
The only thing that would make it better is if, in mid-catch, he was dropping to his knees to fucking stick him. But a little too dangerous.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty, ballsy of Eddie just to say, you know what, Mongo, catch me up a tombstone.
Yeah,
catch
fuck
me up
that.
A and tombstone me. I'm not down with that.
No. I wouldn't mind him catching me.
I mean, they obviously don't know a fight.
I would think he could catch me. It's now get me in the right position for a tombstone. That's the problem.
It's a weird finish to give. It was always a weird finish to give to Mongo.
Yeah, of all the fucking finishers, that's insane that he fucking gets a fucking tombstone.
You'd think a tackle, blind tackle, or a spear, or maybe a running power slam.
Yeah.
I mean, fucking LT when he was at WrestleMania 11, he had to go off the second rope and do a punch.
Yeah, if you think about it, look at LT had one match and was so much better right off the fucking bat. Actually had a fucking match. So we get Mean Gene with Mysterio. And he's supposed to be hurt. And, of course, Conan shows to fuck with him. But then you get Big Show, Giant, who comes out there to kind of be a guardian and chases off Conan. Bischoff comes now to commentate. And that first match was Yuji Nagata versus Jericho. And what's interesting is during this match, the crowd is chanting game Cox, game Cox the whole time, which is, I'm like, yeah, they're bored with this fucking match. But now is a clip that Billy really loved because of the English language that Harlem Heat tries to tackle and speak, and even Bischoff makes fun of them in the middle of their fucking talking with Mean Gene. It's fucking awful.
I mean, this isn't highly relevant, but like from the minute it comes out, he goes, Gene Oakland's like, oh, they've got this new young lady, and she walks in, like, she walks through the entrance, bending over, and you don't know that till they're off camera, and you heard Mean Gene go, oh my, like that, and then they come back to camera, and it's like straight in. Some fucking dirty director's like, get the shot, and the camera comes in, and he's like right in on her like titties, and even at this point, I'm thinking, you know what, I would fuck that with a bag on the head, but on the face, like, cover that face up, and that I think. Oh,
it's a great body, great titties, great ass, everything. Yeah, it is the head, that's for sure. But I bet you she gives great head though too. I'll bet you that.
Oh, I could go through with it. I could do it.
Oh, sure, in a heartbeat. You kidding me? Even now, she looks exactly the same. She don't look any different.
She's still got that body like now.
Oh yeah, remember Hall of Fame?
I don't remember. Well, I didn't get to see her body. I mean, she can't be this tight underneath.
I don't know, man. That black bodies are usually, they got that athletic build. They keep fucking taut unless they're the big fat pigs.
I just think here she was even better than when she got into WWE because it just.
Well, remember that fucking swimsuit competition where she pulled her tits out? I mean, shit. Yeah. Christ. Let's listen to Harlem Heat, Mean Gene, Vicious and Delicious. Let's listen to them all just mangle the English language.
The Steiners try to speak English too.
Here we go.
The tag team competition. WCW, no hotter than it is today. With that, I want to bring out one of the number one contending tag teams. I talked about the young lady that will lead this team back to prominence during my hotline report this weekend. She is Miss Jacqueline, and oh my! And of course, the Harlem Heat here with her tonight. And certainly with the state of affairs at WCW, Stevie Ray and Booker T, you got to have a lot of things churning right now in your mind.
Well, the first things on my mind is, I just want to let everybody know there is a new member to Team Harlem Heat, and that is Jackie. And there is no doubt we got somebody to watch our back from this point on. Now, the second subject is the number one contendership here in WCW.
Is contendership a word?
I don't know what's going on with the committee, J.J. Dillon, whoever's in that committee, but they still are saying the Steiner brothers are the number one contenders.
And should
well,
be
let me
champions.
tell you something. I give the Steiners their just due. They are the two-time World Tag Team champions. But on the other hand, me and the big gun, we are the 7-time World Tag Team champions. So I'm saying it right here now. Steiner brothers, won't you just be a man and step to the side so me and my brother can do what we got to do with Hall and Nash? Because this is the hard way. Now can you dig it?
Stevie Ray.
You know, Gene, just like my brother said.
What is this?
Oh, who's that? Like me and my brother say, we never had to go up north to get a reputation. We never had to go to Japan to get a reputation. We fought the best right here in WCW. Oh, look at these suckers.
Sucker is right, especially the big one in the middle.
Scotty?
Mean Gene, everybody, Scott Hall and Kevin Nash consider themselves the two luckiest people on the face of the earth right now. And if you two idiots didn't see the pay-per-view at Sturgis, and you don't think we got the job done, you're dumber than I thought you were. We got the job done.
Who's got the belts?
Hey, you two ham-bones had your chance. Take care of business in Macon. You didn't beat nobody. And now, you want to cry for another shot? Well, if you want another...
Here we go. Here we go.
Hold on. I'm in the back listening to this
Vicious
argument going
and delicious.
on. Number one,
You didn't beat the Outsiders. They beat you right in the middle. Number 2, you can't beat them. And number 3, neither one of you can beat Vicious and Delicious.
I like that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Hey,
Eric, get their hands off of my guys. Eric, jump up in there and help them. Come on, kick somebody in the back of the head. I'll kick you in the back of the head if you don't shut your mouth. Bounce your head off this broadcast booth. All right, we'll be back, fans.
Okay, now Malenko versus Alex Wright. And it's a disqualification because, and this is for the TV title. Alex Wright has a TV title. Malenko wins by DQ because Eddie and Double J, Jeff Jarrett, show up and they jump Dean Malenko. And then you get Macho Man versus Lex, which is supposed to be the main event. And of course, in typical WCW fashion in this time of year, everyone shows up. And Hall shows up, and then DDP shows up, and DDP accidentally gets racked because yeah, it is. I mean, give me a break. DDP's trying to help like a blinded Lex, and Lex just grabs him and puts him in the rack, and like he can't hear DDP talking to him.
How is this situation not resolved by him going, "Hey, it's me, it's DDP"? I mean, it's in his music, so like, why can't he just say it here?
And be positive about it. So that's the way this Nitro.
It's not in his WWE Network music.
No, not at all. And you know what? You almost forgotten that this is fake music. They put it in very well. You can't tell that it's dubbed over at all. All right, it's time for the next Nitro, which is 3 hours long. The next Nitro. We'll try not to make this show that long. Here's how they open the show, because it's a big tribute show to Arn Anderson. So here's how they start it.
He's not flashy. He doesn't wear expensive robes or fancy trunks. He hung in the shadows most of his career, but he was the best enforcer this sport has ever known. Double A, Arn Anderson.
As you say something, and then you back it up with action.
He emerged as part of the Minnesota Wrecking Crew and was one of the original members of the Four Horsemen. Along with cousin Ole Anderson, Ric Flair, and Tully Blanchard, they ruled the wrestling scene. To stay on top, they did what they needed to dominate the sport. Among the transformation of members over the 15-year reign, Arn and Flair were the foundation. One of the greatest wrestling technicians ever. He used the ring as a weapon. The enforcer was never afraid to take a shortcut. Climbing into the ring brought him home, and the Four Horsemen were his family members. Besides being the enforcer for many of Ric Flair's successes, Arn racked up many victories in tag competition.
The best in the world, best tag team, period.
Double A held the NWA and WCW World Tag titles with 4 different partners. In singles competition, he owned the WCW World's TV title, punishing his opponents match after match, then finishing them off with the devastating spine buster. Arn Anderson was the TV champion longer than anyone in wrestling history. Never at a loss for words, the enforcer told us like it was. Then he delivered. We will miss Arn's confident march to the ring, the look of determination on his face, and above all, his sheer desire to win. This program is dedicated to the enforcer, Double A, Arn Anderson. Four Horsemen.
So there you go. There's your Arn Anderson. They do the replay of the whole My Spot speech from the week prior.
So let me tell you why. Let me tell you why I was really keen on putting this clip in. Because all the stories that came out after this was that Arn Anderson was blindsided by this, and he went up to Nash and confronted him and all that. They built the show around the fact that they were going to do this speech for the Heat. Like, from the very beginning of the show, it's obvious that they're going to like attack Arn Anderson because that's how you get the heat. everybody's being nice to him. They're doing all these videos and everything, and then it sets up for the NWO to do the promo. You can't pretend.
I don't think they say that he didn't know. I think they said that everyone riled him up about, like, how embarrassing that you would allow them to do that. And, God, they fucking, shit on you. His wife fucking riled him up fucking good. And plus, because Kevin Nash always said, it was Arn's fucking cooler that I carried to the ring. I asked him if I could use his own fucking cooler. And then the wife's like, they made you look like a fucking drunk old fool. And he's fucking sitting there all I'm like, what's the wife doing fucking stirring him up? The fuck is she doing? So
yeah, it's just weird. I still think there's a part of it where it has been like blown out of proportion, where they turned around and was like, oh, this comment blindsided me, or what. I've heard a combination of he was fine with it, but they went too far and made him look. I don't know. I just feel there is no too far, because
there isn't.
The heat is going as far as you can. And I don't even think they went that far anyway. So I mean, I just did an impersonation. It's just like DX. This is their version of DX and Nation. So
yeah, and the Nation was way worse because that was quote unquote racist. So
of course.
Yeah. So let's go through the card of what happened, and then we're going to play you toward the end here the NWO My Spot promo. Benoit and Mongo versus Jeff Jarrett and Eddie. It's odd because Deborah distracts the referee while her team is winning. And then Malenko shows up and pushes Jeff Jarrett off the fucking rope into a pin for fucking Mongo.
Yeah.
So it's like, what? It made no sense that Deborah was distracting unless you were like, oh, she's about to turn. But Hall's in a booth with a microphone, and he says like NWO is for the working man. We're not this WCW. Silver King versus Mortis. You get Mortis winning, and Vandenberg calls out the Faces of Fear. They show up and beat the piss out of everybody. That Yuji Nagata versus Malenko. Twice now we've seen Yuji. 2 weeks in a row, Malenko wins this. La Parka versus the Ultimate Dragon, and Dragon wins this. Then you get Buff Bagwell versus Glacier for Glacier's first singles loss. Is the tarnish? Is this being is the shine off the fucking vine at this point?
It's weird. Like, I mean, it's not if he's going into a program with one of the higher people in the NWO, but the fact is the whole thing was like earlier on in the show, it's promoted as like Glacier takes on an NWO member tonight, and it felt like they were moving him up.
Yeah.
In terms of, all right, he's going to go up and then he'll lose to he'll go into a feud with like Hall and because Hall doesn't do that much, like apart from carry a tag title around, or even like fucking Six, I would guess. But to lose to Buff at this time where like Buff has the other music. That's a low level loss.
If you have that shit music, how dare you lose to any of them? That we have Lizmark Jr. versus Vilvano 4. Ravens in the crowd. I don't even know. I mean, the only reason this match is even on TV is because it's 3 hours. That's fucking bad.
I feel that way about 4 or 5 last matches.
We get Gene with Lex. And they're going over the whole, it was an accident last week when I racked DDP. That was an accident. I didn't know. I love that everybody's always like, nobody ever goes back and watches a tape usually and just goes, yeah, obviously it's an accident or something. Nitro girls are out there. Disco Inferno shows up. And our buddy Alex Wright then shows up. They have a little bit of a fucking dance-off. They yell at each other a little bit. And right away I'm like, shouldn't they be a tag team?
I think they end up as a tag.
Yeah, that's why I was like, I think they do. Maybe I'm fucking wrong. Maybe I'm right. I don't know. We'll have to get there. You get Alex versus Hugh Morris, and this is for the TV title. And there's just another nonsense match, and Alex Wright keeps his title, of course, because Disco shows up in here. And it's just distracting people. It's just, we're going to get into the Disco and Alex thing for a while, next few weeks.
You know, I thought like Goldberg would be coming in on this show. I'm sure Goldberg's coming in at some point in the next few weeks.
You know what? It is soon. It's coming. It's coming soon here. Which will be very interesting because it'll be like, oh shit, it'll be the first time it'll be like Hugh Morris coming in the ring and Goldberg, who doesn't say a word for a while, and they're like, who's this? You know?
I want to get a little look at how that's done more.
Yeah. Stevie Richards versus Damien. Raven jumps in. Raven jumps Damien, actually, on the way to the ring. Beats the shit out of him, throws him in a ring, tells Stevie to cover him. He does. Gene is with the what was his name? Big Bubba. Gene is with Big Bubba. And he says, remember he got knocked out when they were in the parking lot with the NWO. I completely forgot that he was even gone. I'm like, oh yeah, he was in the NWO. And he was knocked out, and they didn't know who did it. And he says he wasn't going to be able to walk again, the doctors told him. And I'm like, from what? Someone fucking knocked him out in the parking lot, and the doctors thought he could never walk again? I'm like, talk about adding to a fucking story. But he says, oh, NWO never sent me any cards or visited me. I'm Ray Traylor now, and I'm a man. Fuck you. He sounds just like fucking Tenta. I'm a man, I'm not a fish. So then that goes into Ray Traylor versus Prince Iakea. And I'm like, isn't Prince Iakea a good guy? Why is Ray Traylor going against him if they're trying to, like, make him a good guy? And then it's time for the world-renowned, the world-famous My Spot promo done by the NWO.
The Four Horsemen.
All right.
Oh, wait a minute. You got to be kidding. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. What is it? Just a second. I take exception to this, gentlemen. I know exactly who you are. To think for a minute that I'm going to sit out here and condone anything you're doing. We are paying tribute tonight to one of the all-time greats, Arn Anderson. I will not stay here and let you desecrate his good name and fantastic reputation. You got anything to say? Talk to yourself, pal.
Yeah, whatever, Gene. Beat it. Woo! Kurt Hennig, come on out here, Danny. We need to settle something right now. Come on, Kurt Hennig. Woo!
This is really
come on.
This is a disgrace to our sport. You know, why do we...
Come on out here, Danny!
Why can't we just... Woo! I mean...
You know, I'm out here screaming at the top of my lungs and I don't even know why. Woo! Kurt! I don't mean to put you on the spot here, brother. Woo!
Do we have to listen?
But everybody's dying to know. It's been 2 months, and we gotta know. Are you in? Are you out? Woo!
They're making a whole mockery.
Well, I tell you, Rick, you have put me on the spot here a little bit. Woo! You know I got a dog named Spot. Woo! Just to sum it up, you put me on the spot. Woo! But as bad as I hate to say it, woo! I can't give you or these people an answer tonight. Woo!
You know, last week was one of the greatest moments.
You know something, Kurt Hennig?
And this has gone right.
I knew that you were going to give us that answer, so
I took it upon myself to give all these people a big surprise. Right now, well, I'd like to introduce to you my best friend, the enforcer of the Four Horsemen, Arn Anderson. Woo!
You know, and I can think of all the the things that this group has done. Guys, this is the lowest form yet. This is not.
Come on, Double A. I know you're having a hard time getting down here. Come on.
Can some
My
producer,
best friend.
Can some security member stop? Can anyone put a stop to this? Would anyone look at me? What am I talking about? Get it.
This is a total disgrace. Everybody make a little noise for the enforcer. Come on. Double A, Daddy, you're looking great. I know you were taking care of more important business for a second.
I was taking care of horseman business. Before I go any further, let me let all the horsemen out here know one thing. Guys, the beer's on ice.
All right, Daddy. Woo!
Gong 'em. You know something? It's pretty ironic that on Labor Day, WCW would decide to honor me, because anybody that's followed my career knows one thing. Y'all was wondering when I was going to go into labor. You know, I sat back there today and I watched that highlight tape of my career, and I said to myself, you know, I'm a guy of average size, average speed, average quickness, average looks, average intelligence, average carpentry skills. But you know what? I parlayed that into a wrestling career that, if I may say so myself, was quite excellent. But you know something?
This is not right.
4 months ago, I had a neck injury. Subsequently, I lost the feeling in my hand, my left hand. The significance of that, that's a hand I open beer with. But you know something? I willed myself back from that injury. I got in the gym. I didn't do anything. I walked around, but I got to the gym. And you know what? I started to come back. But about a week ago, I went to the neighborhood bar. I bellied up against the bar like only I can. And a fat broad, that's right, a fat broad, came up and smacked me in the back and sent a chill down me. Same fat broads have been following the Horsemen for 20 years. But as I looked at that long neck laying on that cheap industrial grade carpentry, I said to myself, how ironic. Now, it wasn't so much the fact that I was out $3.75. What it was to me was sand ticking down through the hourglass, and everybody knows, so are the days of our lives. You know, one thing you could say when Arn Anderson was coming to town, besides the fact that I left a lot of unpaid bar tabs,
was Arn Anderson was coming to town. And you knew if I was on the card, I was going to give you 100%. No matter how drunk, how hungover I was going to give you all I had. And back in those days before the NWO, you 8 people that bought those tickets got one heck of a show. But you know what? As I come out here tonight, I ask you people, don't remember how I used to be. Remember me how I look right now.
We've reached the lowest point
Good,
ever
Mongo.
on this program. We have.
So, Kurt, that puts me and you, and I got a challenge for you. Wait a second. I don't want to fight you because I ain't won one in 20 years. What I got for you is a challenge, because as much as I want to be a horseman, I know if I come out here right now, I not only put him at danger, but I put my best friend at danger, and I can't do that. So what I'm doing tonight is I got a challenge to you, and I ain't got much to offer you because the beer's spoken for. But what I do got is I got a spot with the 4 horsemen. Not just a spot, not a liver spot, not a spot like your dog spot. No, not just any spot, but my spot. So I need to know right now, do you accept it? My spot, not their spot, liver spot, dog spot, anybody's spot, my spot, to become a 4 horseman. Not my spot, anybody's spot, dog spot, liver spot, my spot.
As much as I want to say I'm a AA fan, as much as I want to say I like to be a 4 horseman, it's hard to say because I don't like you and I don't like the 4 horsemen. But I tell you what, it would be an honor.
And it has been a total joke now.
It's not funny anymore.
No, it's not.
Not when you know Arn Anderson like we do.
I ask about security. I do understand security. They've had their hands full this entire time with holding Ric Flair, Kurt Hennig, Mongo, all the horsemen back.
Maybe the most pathetic display of all from the NWO.
Well, let me say this too. You NWO fans, you look at this one long because, and I do have a hand in some of these television programs during the weekend, because you're never going to see this again, ever.
So you hear Tony Schiavone saying this will never be replayed ever again because this is how horrible this. I was like, did they ever sell those T-shirts with the fucking the donkeys with their asses facing outward with the 4 stamped into their ass? I thought that was a fucking brilliant shirt.
Yeah, I don't know if they did, and like there was that Hart Foundation sign once with them all having their back to.
Yeah.
And they were urinating on the U.S. flag. That was a good T-shirt. Made that, but.
Yeah, they should have fucking done the end. I mean, they were trying to do different NWO shirts. It's like, what else could we put on it? You know, with the shit on the front, put that on the back. I thought that would be good. Chavo versus Jericho for the Cruiserweight title. Eddie shows up before this thing starts, and it's interesting. You notice now all of a sudden Jericho has his Y2J music.
And WWE must have put that in.
Yeah, obviously. And it's like it wasn't all the time. It was for a little bit, a couple months back, and then it went back to the shit music. And now I'm thinking, well, maybe it's because it got away from the original Lionheart music, and now it's the Pearl Jam music. And so they had to replace that.
Yeah, it's very confusing. Like, sometimes you got to check this stuff out on YouTube. I mean, the last time I was on there was to check if they really give.
Yeah, you're crazy with that.
Yeah.
I was like, you gave way too much credit when I knew damn well they just gave him shit music.
Well, I just can't understand. I just didn't think it would get to the point. Go, what have you got? But go ahead. All right, ready? I'm going to push play. This is it. And somebody went, that's great. That's cool. Like, we'll send him out to it.
God.
No, I just can't understand that.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost as bad as the Rick Rude music. But, all right, so all the cruiserweights say, I want a shot, and run to the ring and fucking, so this never really even happens. Then you get Hogan in the ring with Bischoff. J.J. Dillon shows up to give an answer, to give Sting an answer. He says, we want to know what's going on, JJ. We want Sting ourselves. And as soon as JJ gets out there, they beat him up and give him like leg drops and fuck him up. So he's going to be out for a while, and we're going to have to see in the upcoming weeks what happens. And then our main event is Hall and Macho Man versus Page and Luger. And you see this coming a mile away. DDP getting up behind Hall while Luger gets ready to do the fucking bionic forearm. And Hall gets out of the way. Bang goes DDP. And he gets knocked the fuck out. Hall and Macho Man win this. And that is how they finish this Nitro on the 1st of September.
It's amazing how they were going through all those months without ever making any contact with each other. And now they can't stop accidentally hitting each other every week.
Every time they fucking kill each other. You're gonna have to tune in on this Sunday, and you will hear Ground Zero, which is very interesting to think about. That WWE had a go-home show 2 weeks before the show.
I skipped something in my notes there, but it's fine. The only thing I was going to say was, I was going to ask you a rhetorical question. Well, actually, not rhetorical. You probably should answer it.
Go ahead.
Would you not think at this point, like after they did one accident, that one guy should have just been like, no, that wasn't an accident, and he hit him, and then the other guy hit the other one back, done it like that instead, where they were like, it started with an accident and nobody believed it was an accident, so now they're just doing it on purpose.
I think that makes more sense, but they're trying to make it like they're both good guys, though. That's the only difficult part, because eventually they're going to be like, hey.
Yeah, but I think when Austin and Michaels were tag champions of WWE, they started actually hitting each other. So
yeah, that's Austin. That's a better story for sure. So, well, there's your Back to the Monday Night War show. Like I said, tune in on Sunday for your Ground Zero, which it might be me telling Billy a lot of stuff that he might not remember, and we'll see how that works, because don't complain to us, complain to the fucking network, because they don't have the goddamn show on there yet. I should actually go look and see if they've updated since this stupid new update of theirs has come along, because there's about maybe one thing good from this new update. Otherwise, it's been a fucking disaster. They don't even have the ability to download a show like Netflix yet, which I thought that's what would be on this next thing, too.
Oh, that would be great.
It would be.
I'd be hammering through this shit on the plane.
Oh, yeah. That's the first thing I thought. I go, a plane ride? I'd fucking load 3 goddamn fucking shows. That's all I'd do. You'd fly. Literally. But, no, you're fucked, because they don't know what the fuck they're doing. So, well, I'm Cav. He's Billy. We're out of time.